Okay, Robert back here. Welcome to part 2 of this Kamplite inverted. Last video we stripped it completely down. Finally getting the time to get back out here in the shop. Okay, I tried just pulling that out of there. It's not going to budge. I bent the spring a little bit, but I think I can straighten it back out once I get it apart. But it's froze up in there pretty good, so I'm gonna have to heat and quench. Hopefully I have enough propane left in there. Okay, I've done that 3 times. That may have got it, may not have got it. There's only one way to find out. Grab that spring again. Hey, look there. 3 times. She slid right out. Okay, as you can see, that packing's pretty well carboned up. So it definitely needed to come out of there. Break out the torch again. Pretty good guess that this packing is made out of asbestos. Not positive, but that's my guess. You handle that, you want to wear gloves, and you don't want it to get airborne. You want to keep it wet. So we've dried out the water from the heat and quench, and we've burned off the carbon. So now I'm just going to pour some common fuel on it because I don't want to put water back on it to keep it wet. Which I did let that cool down some. It's still hot, but I wouldn't have poured that common fuel on a red hot piece of steel. Now let's see if we can very carefully try not to tear this up too bad. This little pick here is fairly straight. I'm going to run it up through that spring. Yeah, I'm tearing my packing hole to pieces. It's not working like I planned. I've done destroyed it. But it's not doing me no good like that. As you can see, I really bent that spring trying to get that out of there without heating and quenching it. That was my stupidity. But the spring itself will be easy enough to fix. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all that twisting on camera, but you see now I just stuck the little pickup in there, and I just kept working it until I got it straightened back out. So the spring was the easy fix. This, on the other hand, that's a mess all in itself. As you see, the needle slides perfectly through it now. It's something I've been wanting to try. I have heard of people wrapping these things with this brass mesh. Got a little bit left here, might be enough. Hey, I'm gonna give it a shot. Not sure if that's enough, but hey, I'm going to give it a test burn. Okay, I've got another plan besides the wire mesh I want to go with. I think I'm going to use the wire mesh and something else. I'll show you as I go. Okay, I've been wanting to try something. No guarantee it's going to work, but I think it might, so I'm going to try. If it don't work, I guess I'll be ordering one of these reproduction generators just for the packing out of it. I've got this fiberglass rope. This was a stove rope that I unweaved. And let me tell you, that was time consuming. Been a while since I tried this lashing, but I think I can do it. Make a loop. Just wrap it around. Keep it kind of tight. Now once you get to this point, bring your tag in back through that loop. And you should be able to pull this in down here. Perfect. And that will tighten down on that tag end. Let me situate that a little bit before I tighten it on down. Now, cut off both of our tag ends. There we go. I can't see it, but I can feel the tip of my needle with my finger. So it worked. I mean, it lined up with the, kept it fairly center and went right into the tip of the jet there, so I think that's going to work. Fiberglass, it won't burn. It will, but it will absorb full fuel. We use this in our alcohol stoves and such for priming, and I don't see why no reason it wouldn't work in the Coleman fuel, but we will shortly find out. The vinegar is good and hot out there, so I want to pour some hot vinegar in this fount. A lot of you guys use citric acid and vapor rust, but with those things you got to leave them soaking, and they work good from what I've seen, but I can't leave something soaking, because when I come in here and work in my shop, it might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks before I can come back out here again. I can't just leave it soaking overnight, because I'm not guaranteed I can have that day to get out of my shop. So I like my vinegar because it works really quick. You got boiling vinegar going on out there right now. And I want to plug off the bottom of this, so I'm just going to thread this T back in here. Thread the valve back in. I'm not even going to tighten that down with a wrench. That will hold vinegar in there long enough for what I need. Okay, I got my hot vinegar. Pour it in here. I'm just going to reuse these BBs I used last time. Funnel not working so well. We'll just drop them in here. Okay, that tank is really hot. So like I said, I just put boiling hot vinegar in it. So it didn't take it long to radiate through that steel all the way to the top. So I'll wear some gloves. Got my BBs in there. Capped off the bottom. Put my fuel cap on the top. You can hear them go around in circles, and then BBs roll around the bottom, because that's where most of that sediment's going to be, is on the bottom of that. Then I'm going to shake it up and down. Around in circles. So you can go to the top. Around in circles. Splashing out somewhere I don't have a check valve in there. That's okay. Okay, I'm going to let that set just a few minutes. Let that hot vinegar do its job, and I'll shake it again. Feed that through. And I can see through the generator hole there that it went all the way around that corner. So there's nothing obstructing that side. Now I go through the generator tube hole and feed that through. I'm going to twist it as I push it. Okay, it felt like we made the U. It went all the way around. I can see my spring up inside the burner cap. Like I said, I tried to get that off, and I don't want to damage it. I don't have a replacement. I don't know if I can get a replacement. So I'm not going to try to get it off. Just leave it be. But I can see my spring turning freely in there, moving around. So I'm confident there's nothing blocking that. No mud daubers, no spider sacks obstructing the airflow. Pour this whole vinegar back into my percolator. Clean on it a little more. Okay, the easiest way I've found to get these BBs back out of here, you can turn it up, down, and shake it, and shake it, and shake it, and it takes forever. And the last 2 or 3 BBs are near impossible to get back out of there. But if you got one of these little telescopic magnets, if not, get you a small magnet that will fit in that hole and hot glue it to a string or a wire. And there's how you get your magnets out. Okay, off camera, I'm going to take this thing in the house, and I'm going to run a sink full of water and baking soda solution. And I'm going to submerge this tank, and I'm going to rinse all that vinegar back out of there. And then rinse it with cool water, and then I'll come back out and I'll rinse it with denatured alcohol, the common fuel one. Okay, I've took it inside and I rinsed it in a baking soda solution. Okay, I've took my compressor multiple times, let it build up pressure, and blowed out just about every drop of water I can get out of it. I've done that multiple times off camera. So now I'm going to pour some denatured alcohol in here. Just going to rinse that denatured alcohol around. Upside down. Try to dry up all that water we can. Water will mix with the alcohol. That's what I was looking for. It's coming out fairly clear. I'm going to do that a couple more times off camera. Actually, I'm just going to filter this back through. Run it back through a couple times, Like I said, make sure I go through that filter out any grit that might come out, and but hey, it's looking good already. I cleaned that brass mesh up a little bit, but it's still a little tarnished. I've got another piece here I happen to have on hand. So we just make us a new one real quick. Pull it up just a little tighter. I think that'll work. Thread that in there. Not squeezing that enough to dent it, just enough to get a grip on it. I think that's all it's going to take. Apply some thread locker on this. I went back and looked at my picture. Short end of this fuel line will point this direction. I'll actually be pointing down, but I've got this upside down, so tighten down the fuel line just on the one side. I've already put this together once, and I forgot to put my fuel pickup tube back in, so that's why you're going to see this already together, but you'll see me putting it on here shortly. Turn it back on its side. Line up my fuel line. Put in the stud. Spacer. Now that I got that one stud in there to hold that, I'm going to put that fuel line on, just not even going to tighten it down, just turn it a few threads just to keep it lined up. Add in the next spacer. One more stud. Drop in the next spacer. Alright, that's all that. Now we can go ahead and tighten up that fuel line. Put our valve back in. Open that valve all the way up. So I've been opening and closing it while flushing out that tank. Snug that down. I don't want to over tighten it. Go ahead and close that valve back up. Now we can put this generator back in. Slide on the generator nut. Slide it in place. Pull the generator flush back against the valve. Finger tighten the generator nut. I think that's a half. Nope. Let's go with a 9/16. Snug that down pretty good. Once again, I don't want to over tighten that. Alright, that's the main part, I think. Check valve back in before we forget it. Let's go ahead and spray some carbon cleaner through it. There you go, that's what I want to see. Two pieces back together. All right, let's see if this check valve goes back in as easy as it came out. Okay, let's see if we can remember how to put this chimney back in. These little pins, studs, are threaded on one end. They got a notch cut on one end. That notch will slide right in that little clip on both sides. I think we get a spacer now. Now we can larger section of the collar on. And we need two more spacers. Add the next section of the chimney. Last, we can put the cap on. That's going to be the fun one. Yep, that's going to be real fun. There's one. So we can get a couple threads on that before we lose it. Look there, the other one dropped right in place. That did not happen twice. Get another couple threads on that. Now it's chimney solid now. It was on there wobbly before, so it wasn't on there near tight enough. So we got a good solid chimney now. Alright. Guess the next step is find a mantle. Okay, I got these butterfly 300 to 400 candle power. I noticed, Daryl, when you done yours, you used a 500 candle power Petromax. And I don't have a whole lot of 500 candle power, and I burn those on my 237s that I take camping quite a bit. So I've got several of these butterfly lanterns, or not lanterns, but mantles, 300 to 400 candle power. So let's give these a shot, see what happens. Now, if it pushes these pretty good, I might go back later on if I ever have to replace it. When I do have to replace it, when the time comes, we will go with 500 candle power. Let's open this up a little bit.
It's going to be a lot easier. Go ahead and tie this mantle on now before you put that cage on. Yes, now we're ready for the cage. This would have definitely been easier to do before we put the... Well, put that side first and clear that stud, but that'll work good now. Not too bad. Get them all lined up. There we go. Well, everything's falling right in place. Not having to fight nothing. I like that. It's not often that happens. Okay, that ring fell right in place too, but of course we can put a clothes on.
Let's go ahead and put our pump back in. Some fresh oil on that. I'm not going to go all the way tight with that yet till I get that bottom one in. There we go. That must be in a booger. Now we can tighten the top one all the way down. What I done. Put that valve back in before I done my collar. Knew everything was going too easy. No big deal, it comes out really easy. It's going to be the fun part. So just got one. I'm going to put it right in the center. Go. That's on there tighter than what it was originally also, so making progress. Now for the valve. Put this bell back on. So we add some fuel. Okay, I've put fuel in it, pressurized it, and I'll crack the valve. I don't see any leaks. When I originally put on that generator, I forgot to attach the centric block to the needle, to the cleaning needle, so I had to go back and attach that. I thought I had record pushed, but apparently I didn't. I don't see it. I don't think it saved, so just for the record, I did miss that. Okay, the generator on the Kamplite was a failure, so got to figure out something else on that. It doesn't want to burn long, and it burns out. You all know the routine. Like, share, subscribe. God bless.